This is a spoiler-free video, especially as I myself still have not completed the game, so enjoy. My first scripted video since the release of Tears of the Kingdom. Feels good to be back, sort of, because this isn't the same room I was in last time I had a scripted video, but to be honest, I just want to keep playing Tears of the Kingdom, like right now, naturally. In the first 10 days, I put in almost 100 hours, and then I had to come to a crashing stop for things at my job, and then the moment that was over, went right back into playing several hours a day. But in the crazy amount of hours I've played, there have been so many choices I've made in the game. Some I've regretted, and others I'm quite glad I did. Of course, much like with its predecessor, Tears of the Kingdom can be played in a myriad of ways. But in this video, I've compiled a list of unconventional suggestions that, depending on the kind of player you are and what you prioritize, might be helpful for you. Why are they unconventional, you might ask? Because they're suited to players like me. Story-driven, terrified of combat, avoid/cheese them at all costs. Music and story are why I love the video games that I do. I mean, the satisfaction of solving a puzzle or beating a certain enemy, that's there too, I'm maturing. But even if you are not like me in these regards, I'm sure there are still plenty of things in this video that you yourself might find useful in your playthrough of this fantastic game. So, let's get to it. Number 1, discovering the story in order. For me, the story a game tells is a huge deal, and while the developers prioritize gameplay over story, rightfully so, it is a game after all, that doesn't mean the stories lack. Tears of the Kingdom has an incredible story so far. Like I said, I have not completed it yet. All I'll say at this point about the story is getting the Master Sword absolutely shattered my soul. Anyway, a big part of the story comes from those geoglyphs, but there's no clear indication of what order to find them. Sure, after you discover a memory you can see where it falls in time, but it's too late at that point. But what if I told you there's a main quest that shows you exactly what order they go in before you've even looked at them? That's right, it's none other than the main quest, Aalpha and the Geoglyphs. No mistaking that name. You can find Aalpha near the Lookout Landing Skyview Tower. Simply follow the prompts and you'll eventually arrive in a room that has pictures of the geoglyphs on the walls. The order is from left to right. So, take a picture and follow that order. I would also suggest doing this early on so that you can obtain a certain item that's going to make the rest of the game much easier. Number 2, finding those Zonai shrines. Finding all those shrines can be a bear, even with the sensor. Now you might already know that every single shrine on the surface has a light route directly underneath it in the depths, right? So what I advise is that you focus on finding the light routes in the depths before embarking on shrines. Of course, I do believe you ought to open the Skyview Towers first. It's just helpful to have that entire map opened. But my point is that the light routes are far easier to find than the shrines. Some are certainly well hidden, but for each light route you find, you essentially find a shrine. You can do it in chunks too. Find the light routes for a specific area, go to their shrines, beat them, upgrade your hearts or stamina. Even if you don't, it's pretty easy to make food that'll give you extra hearts and stamina till you do. Yes, there are many other shrines that are in the sky, but at least you can easily find the ones on the surface now. However, this leads me to number 3. Number 3, surviving the depths. The depths are no joke. They are terrifying and dark. So here is what I advise for navigating such a tumultuous area. Pose, light blooms, muddle buds, and bombs. Pick these up as often as you see them. I'll come back to pose, but light blooms, which are usually in caves, are extremely helpful for the purpose of lighting up the depths as you search for light routes. Bombs are for enemies and getting zonite from the mines, though there is something else you can use, but if you haven't done that thing, that dungeon, you need bombs in the meantime. And bombs are just useful in general. And muddle buds for making enemies beat each other up instead of you. It's hilarious to watch. So just always be stocked up on these. The second part of surviving the depths is finding bargainer statues. This is where pose come in. Bargainer statues are where you can purchase pieces of an outfit called the hood, tunic, and gaiters of the depths. They'll protect you from gloom. I highly recommend this. To initiate, I would go to Lookout Landing after obtaining at least 100 pose. Go to the statue underneath Purah's place where Josha is, and talk to it. For every 100 pose, it will tell you the location of one of its brothers. You basically need to find all of them before all parts of the gloom-resistant outfit are available, but it's worth it. So stock up on those pose any chance you get. Don't worry, you will not open up the entirety of the depths before getting this outfit. The depths are huge and there are tons of light routes. Besides, gloom is in more places than just the depths. Number 4. Hearts versus stamina wheels. The classic decision of do I upgrade my hearts or another piece of my stamina wheel. Typically I flip-flop. One time I'll do hearts, the next time I'll do stamina. But for the purposes of this game, do stamina a lot in the beginning. Just focus on making food that gives you extra hearts for the time being, because you need stamina for a big story element of the game and you do not want to get to that part and not be able to continue because you had no stamina. Just trust me. Number 5. Fairy fountains. I waited far too long to finally open up these fairy fountains. I regret this for 2 reasons. The first is because upgrading my armor would have been extremely helpful early on. The second is because the music you hear as a part of this side quest, well, multiple side quests, they're all called Serenade of the so-and-so, insert fairy name here. Anyway, the music you hear because of these side quests is fire. And once you complete the series of side quests, your journeys to the stables is 10 times more enjoyable because the music is greatly enhanced, much like your armor. Number 6. Farming Zonite. Zonite stones are such a necessity. I don't even create that many Zonite-powered objects, but I still use my Zonite charge a ton. It's almost like it's a core mechanic of the game. But finding said stones can be arduous, though it doesn't have to be. While I was streaming one time, a patron for the channel, Nick, suggested I go to Kinimeg Light Route. It takes you to Wrist Mine, which is underneath that spiral island just east of the Akala Highlands. Following the path takes you through tons of ore deposits, encounters with easy little frox enemies, and many other decently average enemies whose death all result in Zonite for you. It's rather simple. After each blood moon, travel to Kinimeg Light Route and have at it. But do you know what would make it even more simple? Having Majora's Mask. However, you have to defeat 5 Lionels to get Majora's Mask in this game. Or do you? Number 7. Cheesing the Floating Coliseum. The last piece of unconventional advice on this list is how to get Majora's Mask easily and quickly. Majora's Mask is locked away in a chest in the center of the floating Coliseum. You can get there quickly by traveling to either the Mu-Ustust or Nagukoik light routes. Definitely butchered both of those, but technically they're just one of the shrine name backwards, so I guess anything goes. Upon entering, the gate behind you will lock down and you will be confronted one at a time by 5 Lionels, the last of which has rock armor. I pride myself on the fact that I have never defeated a Lionel. Ever. Probably not something I should brag about, but here we are. If I had to pass one in Breath of the Wild, I would just use a Sheikah Ancient Arrow and it would take care of it like that. Except I wouldn't get any loot, which kind of stung. But I guess that's not entirely true. I did defeat a Lionel once. It was at that Coliseum in Breath of the Wild and I hid behind a pillar and just shot arrows at it for a long time. Elemental arrows, and it never detected me and I eventually defeated it. When I say I avoid combat, I mean it. But either way, there aren't any ancient arrows in Tears of the Kingdom anyway, are there? Well, there is an item called the Ancient Blade. Simply fuse it to an arrow and boom, Ancient Sheikah Arrow. I got all of mine from amiibo chests, but they can be found rarely around Hyrule. Simply obtain at least 5 of these, go to the arena, have decent aim, and you're done. Majora's Mask is yours. Thank you to patron and channel member Joking Batman for this piece of advice. Now some might say, that's cheating, it's too easy and lazy, you're not getting the full value of the game. I play my way, y'all, and I have fun, so what's the problem? Do you know how I defeated most enemy camps in Breath of the Wild? Remote bombs. And now I get to have even more enjoyment by using Muddle Buds because they beat each other up. It's amazing. So I am perfectly content with my way of playing. So that was my list of 7 unconventional pieces of advice for playing or choosing through Tears of the Kingdom. Let me know which of these was your favorite and if you plan on using any of them in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and joining the Geekdom by subscribing. Note that it is in fact summer, which means my job schedule has changed, and for the time being, I will be streaming Monday and Friday mornings around 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it'll probably go all the way till like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I also have a link to something special in the description below. Feel free to check it out and read it, but don't feel obligated in any way. It has nothing to do with the channel, something purely for Geek Husband and I that we feel led to do but don't know how to do. So if you have a moment, check it out. We would definitely appreciate prayers and any donation you might be able to give. At the time I'm recording this, we're already like a third of the way there, so thank you to everyone who has donated, even though it's absolutely nothing channel related. And thank you massively to all of my channel members and patrons, especially those in the highly innate tier over on Patreon, like Joking Batman, Geek Mom, Lorulian Sheep, McToppler, and Charles. Y'all are the best. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.